is relative.
Yes. So hey, cheers to everybody in the chat. They're a division rival. I don't care how many wins they get. Screw them.
That wasn't the take I was expecting to hear.
I want to gush over watching live Chris Tanev.
I think that we completely underestimate the skill it takes to play defense.
One highlight or several highlights does not a Calder trophy make.
I'm stepping in here. I'm going to be the crotchety old man here. They need to learn patience. They need to understand the tension, and everything, and the drama.
How dare! Look at this. How is McDavid not getting a penalty?
You guys need to calm down with this, okay? You guys need to calm down with it.
Certainly not calm right now. Not in Canucks land, not in NHL land, and definitely not in Oilers land. Welcome to the Shifts and Pucks podcast. You can follow us on Facebook at Shifts and Pucks, youtube.com Shifts and Pucks, Facebook, as I mentioned, .com Shifts and Pucks. Subscribe wherever you get your audio, Twitch as well. This is a solo podcast, and I have something to get off my chest. And I've kind of been lingering with this for a little while, but this conversation this week around Connor McDavid has led me to bring out some thoughts here. So I did do a little bit of a rant. We talked about this a little bit on Saturday, and this conversation has continued. So for those who have missed it, Connor McDavid and Tyler Myers were both suspended 3 games for a cross-check in the face on Saturday night with 2 seconds left in the game. One player has reacted with some, we could say some repentance, some apologies. One other is not. And just going to start right here. And I'm going to talk about this from the Oilers, or talk to the Oilers perspective, because the only word that I could describe what's coming out of Oilers land is just, quite frankly, disingenuous. This is the best word that I could use. And we need to go back before we go forward sometimes to get sort of the backstory of why I'm feeling this way. And I'm going to take you back to the 2022 Stanley Cup playoffs, where the Calgary Flames played the Edmonton Oilers. And it's game 3, game 4 of the playoffs. And Chris Tanev is called for a slashing penalty, or there's a missed call in the game, one of the games where Chris Tanev slashes Leon Draisaitl. And there's several in Oilers media that announces that they're going to be sending a bunch of videos to the NHL in regards to these slashes that are being missed. Now, I don't know any other media base that would be sending videos to the NHL, but Oilers media did that. Wasn't a big fan of that. But I want to go a little further, because that wasn't the only thing that happened during that playoffs. If you remember the Western Conference Final, the Colorado Avalanche and the Edmonton Oilers playoff matchup there, of course, you will probably remember one call that was specifically will be remembered as the offside call, or non-call, or missed call on Cale Makar in Game 1. But there was another call in that series that had Oilers fans up in arms, or some Oilers media up in arms. Evander Kane got suspended for a check to the boards on Nazem Kadri. And it was right in between the number 9 and 1 on Nazem Kadri. There were a lot of Oilers fans that were trying to justify this by saying, it's not that bad. We can't be doing this. What is this? Why was this the Department of Justice nonsense? What about this play? What about that play? What about this play? Forgetting the ultimate fact that Evander Kane hit Nazem Kadri in the boards by the numbers, and it is a suspendable play. It doesn't matter the numbers, what the players' names are. Well, apparently, we'll get to this. It does, actually. But this is what happened. And a lot of Oilers fans, or Oilers media and Oilers groupies, were all like, that's fine. What's wrong with this? I don't understand it. Let's go even further down the list here, and let's go to a series back in 2023. the series between the Edmonton Oilers and the Las Vegas Golden Knights. There was a slash on Alex Pietrangelo that a lot of people in the league would have agreed on Leon Draisaitl, and this was, I believe, Game 5, that probably, and I would agree, I think that should have been a suspension against Leon Draisaitl. And you know what? I think some fan bases would have been up in arms for a little while, but it seemed that the Oilers seemed to carry this on a lot longer than it needed to be. Let's now go to the 2024 playoffs. And there's some Oilers media and Oilers folks that you wanted to reshare the video of Carson Soucy and Connor McDavid from Game 3 last year at Edmonton. Now, I find it interesting how you're sharing this video. It's Carson Soucy cross-checking Connor McDavid. You forgot a couple of things, so I'm just going to bring them up. I can't bring up the video for copyright strike, but Connor McDavid did cross-check Carson Soucy back. And you might have forgotten this as well, but I'll remind you again that Zach Hyman cross-checked Nikita Zadorov in the back. You forgot those two things, but I just need to remind you. And while you were calling for the criminal code of Canada to be tossed at Carson Soucy, those two things happened. Again, forgetting that, or either shrugging your shoulder or playing your narrative, which I'm going to get to here in a moment, protecting the Stars. Now, let's get into what happened last Saturday. And so the play in question is Connor Garland, Connor McDavid, middle of the slot, blue line, under 20 seconds to go. Connor Garland performs Greco-Roman wrestling techniques to stop Connor McDavid, and no call was made. Now, the Oilers had the puck at the time, so even if the refs do raise their hands, the Canucks can't go in on the penalty kill anyway. Was it a missed call? Probably yes. You could argue. I grant the argument that it is a missed call on the Vancouver side. There are some people that believe that this was like Sean, that believed that this could have been coincidental. I could argue that too. That's fine. We can agree that was a miss. Okay. What happens next? And I want to actually, before we go there, I want to take you to a play a minute 24 before that, where it's a play in the Oilers' corner, and Matthias Ekholm is on Elias Pettersson. And Ekholm is holding Pettersson for a little length of time. I think we agree. Could we dispute that Pettersson's a star? He's kind of struggling this year, whatever. No call. It's holding. No call. Missed call there? Don't hear Oilers media talking much about that either. Interesting. So anyway, let's go back to the Connor Garland wrestling moment. They get up, and Connor McDavid doesn't shove him, doesn't punch him. He takes his hockey stick to the face of Connor Garland and cross-checks him. That's a penalty. And now, not a few seconds through the scrum in the far corner, we don't see it immediately, but it does happen. Tyler Myers cross-checks Evan Bouchard in the face. Both get match penalties. Both get 3-game suspensions. Most people are thinking that this is the right thing. Oilers media is aghast. Oiler fans are aghast at this incredible injustice, at Connor McDavid cross-checking somebody in the face and getting penalized for it. How dare we do this sort of thing? And this is where it gets just completely disingenuous. You go back and you look at the inconsistencies of the Oilers media when it's their stars or their players getting hurt, and or when their players make a play and do a dirty play. Let's remind you, this is the same week that Connor McDavid hit Marcus Johansson of the Minnesota Wild with an elbow in the face, and it was a missed call. You could argue that there was a missed sloofa in Los Angeles against the LA Kings earlier in the week as well. Oilers media seemed to be silent about those two calls. Well, I don't know. But Connor McDavid gets cross-checked in the face, or Connor McDavid cross-checks Connor Garland in the face, and now Connor Garland is the victim of all of this. And I think what's also interesting, and I think that this is getting rubbing a lot of people the right way is Tyler Myers was contrite. He said that he didn't intend to hit Evan Bouchard in the face, but he did end up hitting him in the face. By the way, another thing, can I go back to the Carson Soucy thing? Wasn't it interesting that Carson Soucy, when asked about this play, admitted he did wrong and moved on? Connor McDavid, not once now, but twice, has justified his actions. And Oiler media is all okay with it, I guess. We got to protect the Stars. Let's hold on to that thought a little bit here. The fact of the matter is Connor McDavid cross-checked Connor Garland in the face. It is a suspendable offense. Tyler Myers cross-checks Evan Bouchard in the face. That is a suspendable offense. They have been doing this for the entire season. But he gets more. And there's two levels to this conversation. And I think for me, I want to talk about this protecting the Stars moment here. Because there are, let's talk about some of the superstars. Nathan McKinnon, Nikita Kucherov, Austin Matthews, Alex Ovechkin. I've just named 4 there. Let's go to Toronto, one of the largest media markets of the NHL. I have yet to hear one media member in Toronto complain about the abuse that Austin Matthews takes. And by the way, Austin Matthews does take abuse. There's no question about it. There's no argument about him drawing penalties. I don't hear a single thing out of Denver about Nathan McKinnon or Cale Makar getting abused. Not a thing. Don't hear it. I think we agree that they're superstars. I mean, the Oilers have used Nathan McKinnon as a superstar for their argument. Alex Ovechkin is chasing the record for Wayne Gretzky for the goals record, all-time record. And talking to Jeremiah, the sports beard, shout out to him. Do you know how many penalties Alex Ovechkin has drawn this year? He's going to go down as one of the greatest goal scorers of all time. So I think this labels himself as a superstar. 0. Don't hear a thing from Washington about this. Sidney Crosby has taken beating after beating. He took a concussion in an outdoor game against Buffalo. Yes, there were things about penalties. Yes. Yes, Crosby has taken his abuses. And yes, there were complaints. But Crosby's also fought, by the way. Crosby's found a way around that. I'm not hearing complaints about Sidney Crosby, one of the greatest players to play this game, and complaining about any protect the Stars. Just hear this out of Edmonton. We got to protect the Stars. We got to protect the Stars. And let's redefine this and let's put this. I wish I had Tyler with me because I would like to ask him or any referee, what do we label this as a star? I mean, Pettersson is probably in McDavid's good price range. Is he considered a superstar? Do we need to protect him? Do we need to protect, how far do we take this? Is Marcus Johansson, he may be a star in his family. Is that not, he's not a superstar? Do we don't protect that? Gets an elbow in the face. We don't need to protect that. The ref's job is not to protect stars. This is an argument that I'm just not into here right now. The referee's job is to call the action on the ice. And yes, they miss calls. And yes, you could argue they did not handle the Connor Garland situation correctly. But that does not mean that they should grant Connor McDavid the permission to cross-check Connor Garland in the face. And let's just get a couple of things out there. Oiler fans are not going to disagree with me, but I think we need to start having the conversation about the dirty play of Connor McDavid, because this is not the first cross-check in the face. This is not the first butt end in the face. This is not the first elbow he's dropped on Marcus Johansson. He's done this quite consistently, actually. There are plays where he threw somebody. He's been suspended. One of the reasons he got a 3-game suspension is he got a suspension against Nick Leddy. And it may be years ago and it may be a different circumstance, but my point still stands. He's cross-checked players right into the boards from a far distance as well. We don't want to have that conversation because Connor McDavid is the greatest player in the world. But Connor McDavid is a dirty hockey player. You can be pissed off at me all you want. Watch the game. He's a dirty hockey player. And let's also call this for what this actually is. This is not a conversation in Edmonton about protecting superstars. Because, quite frankly, if it was, shouldn't there be some retribution and anger towards Tyler Myers on Evan Bouchard? Shouldn't the Edmonton Oilers have released a statement about Evan Bouchard and how they feel about him? That's awfully crickets. I thought Evan Bouchard was one of the better defensemen in the game. I thought he was making $8 million. Is he not on that superstar level that you're talking about? Or is it just Connor McDavid? Because this is what it's looking like to me. This is not a conversation about the protecting stars. This is a conversation about protecting your star. And I get it. I do. Most fan bases would want their star protected. I mean, you want to bring up the Sedins in the conversation? Sure, the Sedins took a lot of abuse. You know what the Sedins never did, though? Not once. And you watch that play back in 2011 of Brad Marchand, and he's continuing to hit Daniel Henrik Sedin. I didn't see a cross-check in the face. I didn't see a cross-check in the face for Elias Pettersson. I haven't seen a cross-check in the face from Alex Ovechkin. And if there was, I'm sure they would have been suspended. So if Connor McDavid cross-checks a player in the face, don't care if his name is Connor McDavid, he needs to face a suspension. I needed to get this off my chest. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. You can follow us on Twitter at Shifts and Pucks, Facebook.com, Shifts and Pucks, YouTube.com, Shifts and Pucks. Subscribe wherever you get your audio. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. We will talk to you all very soon. Bye for now.